People say F, O, yeah. Friends of democracy. Hear the call. Justice and freedom belong to all. From St. Lucie winds to St. Philip South, hope is alive in every mouth. From St. John to St. Andrew Hills, we rise with pride and bending will. From St. Joseph's Heart to St. Thomas side, the dream is ours with people's pride.
Hope is light, Battle Creel. The time we've waited, there is here. Every hand, every heart. This is where the change will start.
We rise, we're forging our destiny. We fight, for truth and unity. The people's voice, the people's dream. It's time to lead, it's time to be seen. They rise, friends of democracy. Friends of democracy. For our people, for our land, for our land. Together we're stronger, together we're stronger. We take a stand, we take a stand. From the hills to the sea we rise as one. Hands to the work, the new day's begun. Voices of courage, hearts full of flame. We're building a future in the people's name.
From Christchurch to St. James Shore, we open the doors to so much more. From St. George Plains to St. Peter's Line, the call is clear. This is our time.
No more waiting, no more pain. pride ourselves and claim association very much with Christ, God. So tonight, before we start, we want to again call on Deborah.
For our people,
And for our land.
together we're stronger.
We take a stand.
From Bridgewater streets to St. Michael Pride.
Fathers rise, the people say.
Now's our moment, now's our day. Friends of democracy, lead the
We rise, we march, we're forging our destiny. From John Street's hope and unity. From every voice to every dream, this is the people's victory. We rise, friends of democracy. F.O.D. Friends of democracy. Barbados rise with unity. Style up Caribbean soccer fusion anthem with pop and FOD 10 the tons. Tempo.
Thanks
one
once
fed-
again. Just a little introduction of myself, seeing that I'm not a candidate, there's nobody to introduce me. But I guess the next time I will be here, because they say every time I get 5 years older, it seems as if I'm getting 5 years younger. So I'll be prepared and ready. I might not be in the St. Philip area, we're probably going to contest against the Prime Minister. But I want to say to all the people in the homes who have listening ears, I want to say thanks to you for inviting us up to make sure that our presence is felt in the St. Philip area. As you know, I am a Philippine by birth, by action and deeds. You know me as someone who would sing calypso, someone who would write poetry, someone who would do stand-up comedy. Some people didn't even know that I performed in Trinidad 3 times with spectacular promotions, but I'm not one for praising myself. But just to give you a little insight as to who I am. So as we go through the meeting, just for 1 or 2 occasions before I introduce one of the, or 2 of the speakers, I will give you a taste of my poetry because to my mind, although written 20 years ago or 25 years ago, it's so relevant now. And I thought that, unlike when I called VOB, they always, I don't know if I can say it cut me off, but they always tell me that, and this person has sent in a WhatsApp that says this, and then that's the end of me. But there's nobody who can stop me from doing my poetry tonight, because I believe that we and the friends of democracy will have a benefit, and to the listening ear online, you too would see what I have done and try to relate it to us here in Barbados. Tonight, I want to introduce the first speaker. He is a man whom I have admired from the moment I met him. He's a guy whom I saw not an ad on Facebook, on social media with the church. And I was amazed that he actually was able to call people names of yesteryear. And he was warmly accepted there. And I was impressed with his presentation. So he's a man from St. Michael Central constituency. And I did a little canvassing with him, and from all reports, I would believe that he should be sound enough, or he will be sound enough, to bring that seat home for the friends of democracy. I honestly believe that he is powerful, he's sound in thought, he has given a lot of thought to what he is about to do for the constituents in that area. So, without any further ado, I want to bring Raymond Wiggins to the podium.
a story unfolds. A man of the people, brave and bold. Raymond Wiggins, his name a beacon bright. For 6 long years, he's shown his light. Born and raised right here, he knows our plea. For a better future, for you and me. He sees the struggles. Hears
Good night.
every
Good
cry.
night, St. Philip. St. Philip South.
A true leader
As we're here to
beneath
endorse
the sky.
the candidacy
Oh,
of
Raymond
Omar
Wiggins.
Smith for this constituency. As our moderator said, I'm trying to position myself with Friends of Democracy to be the candidate for St. Michael Central. But we know the powers that be spending money hand over fist all over the place, trying to buy the election. The corned beef and biscuit politics that just wrap in a different packaging is still at play all these years later. Because like I said before, like some of us saw as we were down in Pie Corner, the red shirts came out, the bottles of rum came out, the money came out, everything came out to try and pull out the stops to upset a meeting that we were going to have. Barbados, we know that we are in, I guess you can call it silly season. It's election season. And election season in Barbados have a strange miracle attached to it. Money appears, doors open, promises multiply. Suddenly the same administration that told us for years that things were tight, the sacrifices were necessary, that patience was required, all of a sudden they're moving like Santa Claus in February. And we must ask, not as party supporters, not as political spectators, but as thinking Barbadians, why does relief always arrive when power is under threat? For years, about 7 or so, people have cried out under the weight of the cost of living. The cost of groceries were climbing. Your light bill, your water bill, all the bills were climbing. Transportation was a struggle, and in many places more so than others. Young people can't find stable opportunities, stable jobs. Small businesses are grasping for air, going out of business left, right, and center. And the response that we've heard over and over again was restraint, caution, limitation. But now, on the eve of a general election, assistance is flowing, grants are paying, programs expanding. See people raking up sand on the beach. I see people with weed whacking dirt and rocks as you pass. You got to blow your horn and stop because they're in the grass there. But all of a sudden, these people are back in business, they're working. And help is suddenly available. My friends, let us speak plainly tonight. When help only shows up at election time, it is not policy. It is not vision. It is not long-term planning. It is politics in survival mode. It is a government realizing that goodwill cannot be borrowed at the last minute. It is leadership realizing that frustration has been building quietly in homes across this nation. It is an attempt to soften memory. Some people have short memories. It's an attempt to make people forget the years before the little gifts. But Barbados is not a people, Bajans is not a people without memory. We remember the long lines. We remember the unanswered cries when they could not find a representative or MP anywhere to answer your cries. We remember being told to hold strain. We remember watching needs go unmet while speeches sounded sweet from the podium. And now because the talk is ticking, towards election day, 2 days from now, the same struggles are being treated like emergencies. All of a sudden, they're coming around with some sort of stopgap measures, a little penny here, $200 there, wrap up in a shirt, and all of these things. But let me be very clear tonight. There's nothing wrong with government helping its people. There's nothing wrong with assistance. There's nothing wrong with support for the vulnerable. But when that support is selective in timing, we must question its motive. Is it about uplifting citizens or merely securing votes? Is it about national development or is it just political survival? Because real leadership does not wait until an election is called to remember its people. Real leadership builds systems so strong that people do not need to wait for a last-minute handout or a last-minute rescue. Real leadership ensures that opportunity is constant, not seasonal, not just in the season of election. But what we are seeing now feels more like governance, feels less like governance, and more like a clearance sale. Take this grant, apply for this help, sign up here. And the unspoken message behind it all is, remember us when you vote. But my brothers and sisters in St. Philip, South tonight, let me tell you, your vote is not a receipt. Your vote is not a thank you note. Your note is not a payment for this short-term relief, the $200 wrapped up in a shirt and a bottle of rum. That's what I heard. Your vote is your power. And power should never be exchanged cheaply. 4 or 5 years of decisions that will shape your life. 4 or 5 years that will determine opportunities for your children. 4 or 5 years that will influence the direction of this nation. Do not trade 4 or 5 years for a few months, a few days, a few hours of assistance and a handout. Do not let urgency replace memory. Because we must ask, if these resources exist now, why they didn't exist before the election bell ring? If these programs can be rolled out today, why they were not priorities 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Why does compassion increase when competition increases? This is not a coincidence. This is a calculation. And the people of Barbados must show that we are wiser than last-minute calculations. We are a proud nation. We come from people who built this country brick by brick. The elderly persons who sacrificed themselves, working in the cane fields, walking from St. Philip to town, sacrificing themselves to leave this place a better place than they have found it. And that's how they're treating them. These are people who understood dignity. People who understood that the future cannot be mortgaged for a few short-term comforts. Our grandparents did not build Barbados on handouts. They built it on principle. They built it on hard work, and they built it on vision. And tonight, we must return to that spirit. Because when politics become a transaction, the people loses. When votes are treated like items to be purchased, democracy weakens. When leaders believe assistance can erase accountability, standards fall. But we must send a message in this 2026 election that rings clear. Barbadians are not for sale. We cannot be distracted by timing. Their timing is very good. They make the timing to coincide with when they're about to give out money and when they want to be seen and when they want to seem relevant. We cannot be blinded by sudden generosity. All of a sudden, they know where you live, they know where to find you, they know where to come with a little $2, $20, $100. We cannot be blinded by such. We cannot be persuaded to forget the years before the gifts arrived, the last 6 or 7 years. There were no gifts. There were no handouts. There was nothing. There were no representatives. Nobody came about. Nobody cared about you. The roads weren't being fixed. Nothing was happening. Opportunities weren't arising. But all of a sudden, poof, things can happen. Things can appear. But let every politician understand this truth. You do not earn the people's trust in the final months leading up to the election. You earn it in the quiet years. And you know that's what Friends of Democracy is all about. In the quiet years, a lot of us are out there. I was out there since 2020, in the quiet years, in the bad years of COVID, helping persons, handing out stuff, giving stuff, not to be mentioned or to be known, but to make sure people of my constituency felt good. To make sure they felt a sense of dignity and belonging. Those are the people I grew up with. And other members of this party, other people who are running, other candidates have been doing the same thing. Like I said, you do not earn people's trust in the final months. You earn it in the quiet years. You earn it when the cameras are gone. You know, they like to wait till the cameras are wrong and come and hand out the bags and play the smiling. We don't do that. For too long, that's why people in the neighborhood say, well, I didn't know you. People up in other areas outside of mine say, I never see you. Because I didn't wait for the cameras, I was coming around quietly and knocking on your door and handing you something and asking if everything is all right and keeping my events. We never asked the media to be there. 6 years at Charles Plaza, deck the mall. We never asked anybody to come and help and show up. I reached out to the nation and they gave me a 20 by 20 tent so we can shade some of the persons. They've also given a few dollars here and there, but we never said, well, since you're giving your tent, bring and let the camera see your tent up there and know that you're a part of it. We didn't know about that. We were about helping persons. That's all we were about. Now they're showing up with handouts and telling you come and vote. And it was never there. I won't say it was never there. Our representative came by 3 years in a row, put on a hat and a shirt and served food and smiled. I had it up on his website and wherever he had it and brought his people. And 200 people showing up at my event every year for the last 3 years. And then canvassing all over St. Michael's Central. I have not met one person yet who attended my event. I don't know who are these persons that were being invited. I can't help you. And I went all over. You were in Station Hill, Flint Hall, Dean's Village, Station Hill, all over. And none of they said, oh, really, you keep an event? I never heard about it. I said, well, your MP was the one who invited persons for the last 3 years, so I don't know who he invited. These are the things they're talking about. You mean not even that 3 years, and they can invite some from over there, some from over here? And one of my constituents told me he went to that same representative to sign just get a paper signed. And he was told, you don't remember, you think I don't remember when your mother was running up and down behind Steve Blackett? I can't sign that. That's the kind of people we're talking about. We want to be representatives and MPs, not partial and careless about certain people. We at Friends of Democracy are not in that situation. Vote or vote not. Win or win not, we will be out there in the constituencies looking after people because that's why we got involved in the first place. And as Andwele would have said, Ricardo Williams would have said some time ago, if you come into this party, you come in here not to care about people and the constituents. Exit stage left. We don't need you. That's when we only got 12 representatives, 12 candidates. Other people show up. We didn't want them. Their hearts were not in the right place. We rather run 12 genuine and caring candidates than 30 wash down, wash out persons who just want to run in a constituency because it's easy. And they got some areas that we were told were easy. Our candidates certainly don't care what is easy. I am running in the place where I'm from, the person that they care about, and the person that can make a difference. Win, lose, or draw, I will be in that constituency. And that's the perspective that we are coming from. Leadership is not a performance, it's a commitment. And commitment is measured over time. And over time, the electorate of Barbados will see us over time making certain performances and gravitate towards us and know that we are different. Not only in campaign season, because we are not about that. So tonight I say, you can take the help if you need it. You can feed your family, if it's enough, maybe for a day. You can pay your bill, maybe one of the small ones, because they ain't getting out that much. And you can survive. But when you step into the voting booth, carry your memory with you. The memory of the last 7 years, the memory from 2018 to now, when the ruling party have not done anything for you and the opposition party was non-existent. Remember the full story, not just the final chapter when they came around giving out stuff. The full story needs to be told, beginning with once upon a time and ending with, but not happily ever after, but ever after. Remember the struggles. Remember the delays. Remember the answered calls because, as Karina said, all of a sudden, their phones ain't working. Remember that your vote is about direction, not donation. This election must not be about who gave the most at the end. It must be about who built the most over time. Remember that. It must be about who has a plan beyond election day. And trust me, friends of democracy have a plan far beyond election day. It must be about sustainable opportunity, not seasonal relief. We ain't come around seasonal relief. We come around telling you we are here to stay. We will be in your constituencies. We'll be in the streets. We'll be out there time after time, looking after, asking, finding out, and holding their feet to the fire. Barbados deserve consistent leadership. Barbados deserve policies that prevent hardship, not just programs that respond to it when votes are on the line. Let us rise above politics of panic. They get you in a panic mode. They give you a little something. You remember that when you get in there and you put your ex-boy, and we ain't dealing with that. Let us show that this nation cannot be swayed by last-minute gestures. Let us vote as a people who know our worth, know what you are worth, not the 2 cents that come trickling down to you at election time. Remember the struggles. Don't be angry, but be aware. Don't be bitter, but be bold. Don't be desperate, but be determined. Determined to protect our democracy. Determined to demand better. Determined to say with one voice, we see the timing. We understand the strategy. This is about a standard we set for governance in Barbados. If we accept election season generosity as enough, then we teach future governments to govern only when election approaches. But if we demand year-round commitment, then we raise the bar for generations. Teach our children something different, not to accept handouts and vote for who to come and get a handout. So in 2026, when you stand at the booth on Wednesday, remember, a vote is not gratitude. A vote is judgment. A vote is accountability. A vote is power. So you should use it wisely. Use it boldly. Use it in a way that tells every leader, present and future, respect the people every day. Or the people will replace you one day. We have been advocating at Friends of Democracy for campaign financing. Because a strong administration, a strong democracy is not built only on ballots. It is built on fairness. And that is exactly what responsible government campaign finances help to protect. When campaign financing is structured transparent, and fair. It levels the playing field. It means leadership is not reserved for the wealthy, the well-connected, or the powerful few. It opened the doors for teachers, community workers, young professionals like a lot of them that we have in Friends of Democracy, and everyday citizens like the ones we have in Friends of Democracy, with real ideas and real heart to step forward and serve. Talent and vision, not just money, gets a chance to lead. Good campaign financing rules also protect the integrity of our elections. It reduces the influence of backroom deals and hidden donors, the ones we don't know about, the ones that is providing all this money for all the things that they're coming out handing out. They build trust because people can feel confident that decisions are being made in the interest of the country and not in the interest of the special interests, not in the interest of a secret check. This is the glue of democracy, and transparency strengthens that glue. It also encourages issue-based policies. When campaigns are properly financed, the focus shifts from who can outspend whom to who has the better plan for jobs, for youth, for healthcare, and for communities. The conversation becomes about solutions, not just slogans. Most of all, fair campaign financing strengthens Barbados itself. It tells every citizen, your voice matters, your vote matters, your country, your vote is not for sale. And when people believe that, participation rises, hope rises, and democracy grows deeper roots. This is how we build political culture that is cleaner, more inclusive, and more worthy of the proud Barbadian spirit. And that is what Friends of Democracy is bringing to the people of Barbados. No deep pockets, no money at election trying to buy votes. We bring real solutions to real people from our real hearts to the people of Barbados. Thank you very much.
From the heart of St. Michael, a story unfolds. A man of the people, brave and bold.
Raymond Wiggins.
Raymond Wiggins, his name a beacon bright. For 6 long years, he's shown his light. Born and raised right here, he knows our plea. For a better
They're in the
future,
mode now.
for you
They will
and
be
me.
last out in the countryside, and then
He
they have a
sees the
big
struggle.
splash over in Black Rock area. We're going down by Andrele. I can't wait to get down there because we have worked so hard. Sometimes I sit at home and wonder how could Steve perform so well after only 7 months. You imagine if they had given us at least a year, everybody get to know us and see our policies and understand that we are not about throwing out a $300 in a T-shirt or giving the church now. So all of a sudden, they remember the church. All during the year, it was $1,000, $100,000 for Calypsonians. This body getting money to perform at the big functions. A lot of money towards Carfesta, and they forgot the church. All of a sudden now the church, they want to throw in that. I see a lot of Trump tendencies, because Trump used to praise the church, and he's a church man, although he didn't know how to hold the Bible upright. So I'm saying to you that after such hard work, we are at the penultimate stage of the campaign. And from all reports, everything seems to be great. We are going to be keeping the bees in check. And I want to make an appeal to all the residents here, hear my voice. You can get on the telephone and say to them, look, these people are serious. They want to keep the bees in check. The only way you can do that is to be certain that you vote for all 12 candidates I mean, God had a hand in this thing. 12 disciples. And you know, when you vote for us, you don't have to worry about us becoming the government. That time will come. This will give us the opportunity to see how to put a case for the people. Just give us that opportunity. 12 candidates. I know God has performed many miracles. Who knows what might happen? Because if we get 12, I can see the others scrambling for 18. But that will come out in the speeches made, that will be made by the people, the candidates coming. I want to turn now. Dominique, I hope you're ready. Because you are a young lady whom I admire. Everybody is telling me this young lady is young, she is intelligent, she is brave. At her, and pretty, yes. And she is brave. Oh, very pretty. I had my eyes on her too, you know. I don't like to be speaking and looking that way when she's over there. But I'm saying to you that she is talented. She works in many areas. She has enough experience that will help us, especially with database and so on, as the computer, becomes more dominant in this country and in the school service. So she is a class person. Tonight, I decided I'm not going to go through too much of this resume because we want to use the space and time that we have to catch the people up while they're listening. So, Dominique, tonight I want to invite you to the podium to make a presentation. Put your hands together for Dominique Yorke.
Authentic leadership for brighter Barbados. Like Tyler, believe me, love. Promises. She's the one who's real. Dominique's heartbeat for the people. She's the one we can feel. She's not a politician. She's a servant true. Putting people over politics. That's what she'll do. Dominique.
Good night. Good night. Good night.
She's the voice.
Good night, St. Philip.
To a brighter future.
Right, to the beautiful audience that we have here. We're out in a multitude tonight. I'm very happy to see all of you. I'm very happy to be here on behalf of our friend Omar Smith. Omar is very enthusiastic about agriculture, and he has some good insights about how agriculture can move Barbados forward. So I would like all of you from St. Philip South to vote for Omar Smith. Barbados, you heard us reintegrate many times how we want to create a healthier Barbados for all, create pathways to employment, and remove the roadblocks from child well-being. This formula that I'm about to present tonight is one that we kept under our belts, one that we kept to prevent the dangerous Labour Party, the DLP, from stealing, just like they did with many other of our policies. I am about to introduce you to a policy that will not only help with the overload in public clinics and accident and emergency, but it would improve the health of families across Barbados. It will not only provide employment for general workers, but also for specialists. This is the real educational institution reform that we need. Imagine a school where every child has access to education and health care that they need to thrive. A school where chronic conditions are managed, health issues are detected early, and mental health support is just a conversation away. This is the reality that we can create with school nurses on the front line. Friends of democracy want to promote the well-being of our children. As we strive to build a healthier nation, we must recognize the critical role that school nurses can play in ensuring our students' success. In Barbados, we have seen how diabetes and ADHD has impacted our growing adults. We're raising children into adults, and there's great importance of early detection and intervention. It's not just about managing illness, it's about promoting wellness, ensuring that our children are healthy, happy, and in class, learning and growing. Studies show that healthy students miss school less and perform better academically. So how will this work? We'll accommodate a nurse's office in every school, name it the sick bay, equip it with basic medical supplies and a private area for consultations. Our nurses will be available to A, manage chronic conditions like diabetes and asthma, by being trained and qualified to perform first responders' duties, administer prescribed medication for these illnesses, and keep a medical record for these students that teachers can be aware of preventions like food omissions for these students. B, conduct health screenings, detect potential issues early, including psychological and sociological assessments. Provide mental health support and referrals in collaboration with the guidance counselor by allowing a safe space for students to talk about emotional challenges or traumatic events. D, administer prescribed medications as requested by parents, like ointments for burns, pain medicine for injuries, eye drops, nasal drops, for children who suffer with sinusitis, and so on. They will also be able to respond to emergencies and stabilize the students until the parents or paramedics arrive in the event of a fall, asthma attack, seizure, diabetic shock, or uncontrollable gastrointestinal conditions like continuous vomiting and diarrhea. They will also be able to educate the students and their families on healthy habits and flu and disease prevention. To support our students, staff, and parents, we'll host regular health forums on topics like mental health and stress management, nutrition and healthy eating, substance abuse and its prevention, sexual health and family planning, parenting workshops, and family support groups. And these nurses that we will employ should be paid a competitive salary of $40,000 to $55,000 Barbadian dollars per year, commensurate with their experience and qualifications. But their role does not end here. When the school bell rings, during vacation time, these nurses can assist with the care of elderly in homes and the geriatric hospital, work in community clinics, providing primary care services to underserved populations, develop and lead health education programs for our youth and young adults, collaborate with local health organizations to promote public health initiatives, pursue professional development opportunities to stay up to date on best practices. In doing this, these nurses will be able to broaden their knowledge and experience and be able to go further in their career and transition if they so desire. By introducing nurses into our schools, we're investing in our child's future and the future of our nation. We're creating a safer, healthier, and more productive environment for learning, while taking off some of the load from the public clinics and the accident and emergency, allowing for these institutions to have quicker processing times. In addition to adding the sick bay to each school, we will suggest a partnership proposal between the Transport Board and Ministry of Education. As Madam President would often ask, why should the Transport Board be privatized? Do we not care about our citizens? Do we not care at least about our pensioners, our school children? Have you all went through all of the revenue building options? When we go about this initiative, where buses will be allocated to our schools to improve the daily commute of our students and make education more accessible for all. It will also assist with the reduction of traffic congestion because school buses will travel on designated routes. As part of this initiative, we'll be allocating buses to each school with the following distribution. Primary schools, 1 bus per school. Secondary schools, 3 to 4 buses per school. Territory schools, 2 buses per school. This will benefit all students across the island, reducing travel time, increasing punctuality, and improving the overall academic performance of the students. Our buses will be equipped with safety features like GPS tracking, CCTV cameras, and trained drivers. This collaboration demonstrates our commitment to investing in our children's future and making education a top priority while ensuring that the Transport Board, its employees, and the free travel for pensioners are not disposed of, because we, the Friends of Democracy, believe that they are all valuable to Barbados, and we need them. We're working together to create a more efficient, reliable, and safe transportation system for our students. To ensure safe and reliable transportation, we'll be hiring bus drivers from the Transport Board, offering a competitive salary commensurating with their experience. But that's not all. Our buses will also be available to bring in revenue for the schools and the government by offering buses for school tours, sports events, and other activities. We'll work with schools to provide affordable transportation options for these events, making it easier for students to participate and represent their schools. To make the most of this investment, schools can also generate revenue by renting out their buses to other schools, businesses, and organizations. Imagine the possibilities. Renting buses for field trips, sports tournaments, or concerts, offering transportation services for corporate events or conferences, partnering with tour operators to provide transportation for visitors. This will not only offset operational costs, but also create opportunities for students to gain work experience and develop entrepreneurial skills, which fits well in aligning with the Friends of Democracy's policy on career-ready technical education. Sixth formers who have the relevant certifications can transition from school right into work, all at one institution. No need to make any drastic change in their routine. They will also feel comfortable and confident as first-time workers and gain the necessary experience to obtain a job at a larger corporation. Friend Raymond would have spoke about education, something that I'm also passionate about. The rigorous and standardized testing in schools to remove roadblocks in learning, to ensure that our students receive the best possible education. We're proposing a rigorous yet inclusive testing process where it seamlessly integrates into the existing school structure. We'll leverage orientation periods like school entry, transition from nursery to primary, from primary to secondary, and from secondary to tertiary to conduct these comprehensive assessments. Here's how it will work. Parents and children will complete a written assessment, providing valuable insights into each student's learning style and potential challenges. A psychologist will then review these assessments, identifying early signs of learning disabilities or mental health concerns. For students who need extra support, we'll recommend further testing to pinpoint specific needs. Our goal isn't to compare students, but to create an inclusive curriculum that lets every child learn at their own pace. By understanding each child's unique needs, we can tailor our approach to ensure no one falls behind. This initiative will also create job opportunities in Barbados in several ways. The psychologists and assessors will be needed because more assessments mean a greater demand for specialists and trained assessors to review and interpret the results. We will also need to hire educational support staff. The schools will need additional support staff, like learning specialists or mental health counselors, to help these students identify the needs. And we will also need to create the curriculum development plan. Creating an inclusive curriculum could lead to opportunities for educators and experts in curriculum design, focusing on diverse learning needs. There will also be training and workshops So the initiative will generate the demand for trainers and workshop staff on inclusive education, mental health, and learning support. In Barbados, this could boost local and regional employment in education and health sector. So Barbados, hear me out. I love the idea of investing $5 million into our churches. I agree that our youth need education, edification, and empowerment. However, realistically, people generally spend about 2 days attending religious institutions regularly. Our children are at school 5 to 6 days a week. Our schools need proper investment and closer attention and better infrastructure to really alleviate the trouble we are seeing amongst them. The shelters also need proper maintenance and safety personnel. Where is the investment for these shelters? President Karina spoke about needing more security in schools. I want to talk about an issue that my little brother is facing currently in school. I am a little ashamed because I think that he's cut from a different cloth, but recently he would have been involved in an incident. When I got home, my mother would have pointed out to me that the back of his head was swollen. He was actually bullied at school, and my mother would have went to report it to the police station, and while she was there at the police station, the station would have received another call for the same student. We need personnel put into school to help avoid these issues. When my mother went to the school, nobody could tell her what happened. So just like President Karina said, that the schools cannot survive with one security guard. And then I will also think about the other young man who seems to be facing some challenges, and that's the only way that he knows how to put it out. I'm not justifying his actions, but both students will need tending to. Our schools need more attention. For lack of time, I just want to encourage you to vote for Omar Smith. Barbados, I want you to vote today for a better tomorrow. Thank you and good night.
Authentic leadership for a brighter Barbados. One time I believe in love. One time I believe in love. In a world of empty promises, she's the one who's real. Dominique's heart beats for the people. She's the one we can feel. She's not a politician. She's a servant true. Putting people over politics, that's what she'll do. Dominique, she's the one for me.
That girl, that lady, that candidate is a powerful lady. I would love to see her walking up the steps of Parliament whenever there is reopened. And I say that sincerely from my heart. I always like to go back to one thing though. How did we make it? Running an election. I used to run a Calypso tent. And in those days, you had to look for $4,000 for every engagement. Every time you had a show, you had to look for $4,000. And when I see the effort put in by the committee of this organization to make sure that every night we could be heard, I have to say kudos to the entire committee and all those who assisted. I'm sure that there are a lot of people who are listening to me tonight who are probably saying to themselves, these people are doing such a great job, I would like to contribute. I believe that Steve should make it possible, now that we have an account that, and the world is so small in terms of technology. Those people who want to make a contribution, we should be able to give them the information. We're not beggars. There's something I want to deal with tonight that I was going to throw on Steve first, but I think that everybody would approve of it. Because the journey has just begun. And even if we get 4, 5, 6, 7, or all 12 seats, we will need, all the candidates will need assistance. We will also have to project for the future, and everything takes money. So what I propose personally to do is I have 9 books. People might not know that, and I do very well with my books. People really love my work. Anya can attest to that because I gave her one last night, and she tells me that her mother loves it. So if her mother loves it, it means good. But in all seriousness, I can't tell you how many thousands I've sold because people say he got to be lying. But that's why I talk about we in the society, we have talent. We just have to know how to go about making money from it. My friend Major, who lives at the house here, I recall when he came back from New York. They used to have him making fish cakes here. And it took him a while to start. It took him a while. I'm not here to say how we help him, but I pointed him to that direction so that on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays you can pass here and get some fish cakes. And it's growing from one place, one point to another. So I'm saying to you, we in FOD, the Friends of Democracy, have got to come with innovative ways. Now I've written 9 books, and about 5 of them are online. I'm going to, when I come out, give you a poem from one of the books that I love very much. As a matter of fact, the poem that I wrote and is well received, there are many of them. Everybody take up the book and just read and say, look, give me 6 of those books, man. Give me 4 of those. And my books are like $50 and $60 for one. So you get the picture. So I'm saying if they go online on Amazon and look for Kemmerick Harrison, look for All About Love is one, Our Children, Our Future. I promise you that if I can get all the people who want to make a contribution to us, go on Amazon tomorrow or next week. Every single penny that I make, I will give 90% to FOD. Just give me 10% to make back the expenses that I will put in. And I'm telling you, the world is small. We listen to, and really will say this all the time, we listen to all over the world, in Canada, in America, in Australia. And all it takes is a little click on the button and go and buy some of my joke books, Our Children, Our Future. And I want to give you a little example of what my book is. It says Think. This is the one I love most, but they're all good. Think. As the prisoner escaped, I wondered his fate. Police with guns, soldiers tracking him down. The order, shoot to kill. I know they will. His family will mourn when his corpse come home. But has anyone paused to look at the cause? Could it be that capitalism has flaws? A few at the top haven't quite a lot, but the masses in the spot hardly ever got. In the home, was he used, ridiculed, or abused? Was his father there when he needed care? What about the church? Is it doing its work? Preachers from pulpits perched. Still we are left in the lurch. The school and its role, teachers not in control. Children have no goals. Man, it's a crazy world. Politicians too, what do? They trick and beguile you, only looking after a few. The system has failed, you've guidance derailed. So the weak and the frail usually ends up in jail. Hear my SOS. This country is in distress. Let us show more interest and curb what now exists. And when I'm selling my books, I'm telling you, they can't understand how God could have given me such a memory. I know about 90%. I haven't written 9 books. My 40 is ready jobs, 4 job books. And they want to know, they say, you know why I'm buying this from you? Because you got that. To be able to repeat it. For any book, you take up a book and give me a CD, read that page. But that's God's will. You know what God did for me? He gave me that ability so that now I can put it to Friends of Democracy. We don't have to wait for big sponsorship from these local people. But you know the good thing about that? When they don't give us, we're going to procurement for different things. We don't have to honor anything from them. They didn't give us anything. So don't look to us for anything. We will do what is in the interest of the country. You know, we give a contract to this person because they give us anything. Because most of the time they will say, give me 5,000, when they know that the contract will only be worth 3,000. And you know how the other 2,000 goes. Who gets that? Kickbacks. So, we're ready to move on. And we're coming on to Steffanie. I know that somebody wants to treat me like David Ellis now. But I am here to make the point that we have got to put our funds in. Thanks to everybody who made that $100 and $50 contribution to make this thing possible. You all know what's going on. Thank you, Steve. Thank you so much for putting this thing together. So, Steffanie, it's your turn, and I want to read for Steffanie because she's a special one. She's a community person who advocates for the elderly and the disabled youth. Founder and director of Free to Be Back, Free to Me book club. Reach out and touch our children's charity. She started in her community in year 2011. She has done over 150 mentoring sessions with at-risk meals in schools. She has served on many PTAs. She ran in the by-election in St. James North in 2025, and now she has taken another step forward into the arms and the bosom of Friends of Democracy. And from the reports and the interviews that I'm seeing her doing, I think she will do well because there is a God above who's looking down and understand that we need to get rid of this government if we as Barbadians have to move forward. So put your hands together and welcome on stage, Steffanie. Steffanie Williams.
Steffanie Williams. Yeah, remember the name. St. James North. Friends of Democracy. Hey, Steffanie Williams stepping with a plan. Clear vision for the people she understand. From the young to the old, every voice makes sense. No confusion in decisions. Steffanie represent. When she speak, people listen cause it's practical. No fairy tale promises, everything factual. If it works for the country, she won't take things less. Steffanie Williams say make it make sense. Cause in the air, me.
Good night, St. Philip South. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. And don't mind me standing on this platform to help enhance my height. They should say powerful things come in short packages. Tonight, I just want to say firstly that Mr. Omar Smith, who will be representing St. Philip South, is indeed a force to be reckoned with. And despite I have only known him for a short period of time, I believe that he will do well. I know most of the time when you enter into things like this, persons focus on you winning the seat. But I want to say tonight that we have already won. Perspective is very important. And when you have a positive outlook on a situation, nothing cannot get you down. Tonight, I want to speak about transportation, and I know that friend Dominique would have touched a bit on that as well. And it is a topic that we cannot speak about enough. Privatization of the transport board, in my opinion, and I believe in the opinions of many others, is definitely not a good move. When we speak about privatization of transport board, we have to recognize that the most vulnerable in our country, our elderly, our disabled, our school children, they will be affected. And if that is not enough reason to not go forward, then I don't know what is. The privatization of any service means that costs will go up. When the costs goes up, it is a clear indication that the dynamics have changed. Now, we would have received, and I say we because I'm a Barbadian, and I do pay taxes. 35 buses would have come to Barbados last year. My question is, why haven't these buses been released as yet to give some ease to commuters? I know they would have said that there's a process that they have to go through before the buses are released, but this seems to be an ongoing thing. Hopefully soon. And I have a few questions. Is the ink already dried? Do these 35 buses have owners already? These are questions that we need to have answers to. Because it's okay to say that everything has not been finalized, but then when we see what is going on, we have to ask ourselves, are we being kept in the dark? Now, I want to speak a bit about congestion, and I would have touched on this a bit before. You know, over the last 2 weeks, or let's say the last 4 days, when you check the streets of Barbados, being outside is like a hazard. Bumper to bumper traffic. I mean, for those persons who may have a weak mindset, I don't know how they cope just sitting in traffic and waiting for an ease. It is not good enough. I know many of the times persons say, oh, when they're complaining, when they bring no solutions, when they're just talking. But the friends of democracy, we have a solution to assist with making the traffic congestion in Barbados more bearable. And we are proposing a sea taxi ferry service from Oistins in the south to Spikestown in the north, and an incorporated service from Holetown to Bridgetown at the peak hours of the day. Now, isn't that a solution? The ferry service will indeed provide another option. You can park your vehicles and take the ferry. This will also save gas and diesel. Now, friend Kerry Thomas and I would have started, talking to people. And, the feedback was really interesting. The persons, they're already enthusiastic about having such a service because they recognize that it can be indeed work for the betterment of the majority of persons who would have to drive on a daily basis to work, from work. When you really sit and think about that, this can really be beneficial to persons. Now, friend Dominique and I, we would have done a video highlighting the benefits of the sea taxi. And we were so happy when we met a gentleman in Oistins. He allowed us to get on his boat. So that was a really good experience. We would have done that video and we would have released it into the public domain. So if you come across it, please do like and share. Please give your feedback on that. It will be greatly appreciated. Now I want to share some of my initiatives with you. And whenever there is an election, many persons are concerned about sharing their manifesto, because oftentimes you find that persons take out bits and pieces and they move with it and they make it their own. But I'm a firm believer in whatever God has given me to do, no one will be able to do it as well as I can. So, community legal aid, life. providing low-cost legal aid to low-income family earners, ensuring access to justice before more injustices. And you know, if I may say, God works in some really mysterious ways. After our last meeting, I went home and I saw a message, and I really did not know how to feel. But, you know, a lot of persons know me because I do my social media stuff. But this lady, she would have reached out to me, and she would have shared with me some really intimate details about what would have happened to her about 2 months ago. And it left me numb for a bit. And you know, she would have said she does not have the finances to pursue what she needs to pursue. And this initiative, this program, came back to the forefront of my mind. And if I may add, I would have reached out to friend Anya Lorde, and we have been talking about how can we make this a reality, how can we make this accessible so that persons know that they can have some place to turn. Oftentimes persons end up in situations and they don't know who to turn to, they don't know where to go, and sometimes the process is so long. My next initiative is PAPS, Peer and Parental Support Services, and this initiative is geared at providing counseling for children who have been sexually abused and for parents who are trying to navigate their way through dealing with all the different emotions that their child or their children would be experiencing. Youth Unleashed is a community mentoring program for males 9 to 17 years old, providing a safe space for expression and constructive critique. And you know, amazingly, right? I just spoke about persons kind of taking out your ideas. Now, when I launched my manifesto, I was watching another party's meeting, not the whole thing, but a snip of it. And the person was actually referring to something similar to what I would have had in my manifesto and what I would have spoken about the night before. And I found that really amazing. However, once it's for the betterment of the community, we should all be on board. BB, Block Brothers, bringing youth businessmen and youth entrepreneurs together to share business strategies to assist in the growth of their businesses. A lot of young men out there have some really good business ideas, but they do not know where to go to help get the assistance for them to actually bring that to fruition. And you know, even like in our schools, we see females teaching males. And I'm not saying that that is a problem, but I'm a firm believer in male-on-male interactions. I believe that our males can learn better from male-to-male interactions. Now, I would have done a wellness program in 2024. I would have done the public phase of it. And 4 schools would have came on board. And it was a Healthy Minds, Healthy Bodies initiative. And the students had to create a poster around the theme. And we want to have health ambassadors in our schools to advocate for healthier eating through peer education and community outreach. You know, we keep hearing that our children are not eating properly. We need to ensure that, you know, they eat healthier. But the truth about it is, eating healthy comes with a cost. So we're going to have to sacrifice some things. Crowns for All, a community of females supporting and empowering each other. This is so very important. Oftentimes we see females in our communities who don't speak to one another for one reason or the other. And I feel like if our females come together and share, talk about things that they are going through, talk about their experiences, I believe that we can have a better society. I believe that our youths would not be so deviant, but we are so separated as a society, but yet we expect different. Something needs to be done about that. The last few weeks have been an eye-opener, a wake-up call. We are now living in a Barbados that is becoming unrecognizable day after day. To the mothers, I say, keep giving of your best. However, where you can improve, do so. To the fathers, I say, you play a pivotal role in your children's lives. Despite the many challenges, I implore you to keep seeking avenues to be a part of your children's lives. It is important. Teachers, don't give up on our children. We know some of them hard ears. They are. However, if you can stay a little longer encouraging our youths, please do so. Politicians, I'm speaking to myself as well. We have the responsibility to lead by example. A representative is accessible and accountable to constituents. Now, over the years, we would have seen politics take on a different life. If we can do better, then we must. This has indeed been an interesting journey. We are about to create history in Barbados. Despite the many roundtable discussions being had about our authenticity and our longevity, I want to say we are here for the long haul. We are winners already, and we are here to stay. We will continue to endeavor and make strides towards the empowerment of people in Barbados. On February the 11th, many Barbadians will still be unable to vote. This is not how a democratic society operates. And you know, when we sit and we pause and we reflect, we recognize that despite what we do, or sometimes despite what we say, challenges always present themselves. However, I want to encourage all of my fellow candidates, Kerry Thomas, Raymond, Dominique, Madam President, let us continue to endeavor. Let us continue to give of our best, despite what people may have to say. And you know, we are not worrying about them. We are focused. They are worried about us. And like someone said before, if they had only given us about 3 more months, they would have understood what Friends of Democracy was really about. But in time to come, they will understand. We will still be a force to reckon with, even though we only have 12 candidates. And I want to thank you now, because I know it's getting late. I want to thank you. Have a good night.
This is everything factual. If it's good for the country, she won't second guess. Steffanie Williams say make it make sense. She need him if you ready hard, yes. Steffanie Williams, if you tired of the game. Steffanie Williams, one comes now for the convince. Follow the leader who make it make sense. Steffanie Williams, make it make sense.
Steffanie Williams.
No defense. Central Falls, shout it and name. Steffanie Williams, make it make sense. Steffanie Williams, make it make sense. Friends of the
Short but powerful. I enjoy that presentation.
Steffanie Williams, make it make sense. Steffanie Williams not playing no part. Community first, that's straight from the
Present it would be flawless. Oh, I'm getting to your tongue, boy. Made me remember when I kissed my first girlfriend, man. but we have some powerful people. And I'm telling you, we have Jason, we have Matthew, we have Kerry Thomas. And who's Kerry Thomas? That's what they tell me here. You gotta be Kerry Thomas. He from Well, I want to know. He from St. James Central. So he, Matthew, Kerry, and Steffanie. The three of them have joined together to put together a constituency office, obviously using the approach of economies of scale. The more that can share that specific place or particular place, is the better, because it will not always be occupied for 24 hours by just one person, but shared responsibility. And I think that if other people in the country can adopt such attitudes and things that they do, for example, you decide you're going to grow some cherries. Don't think that you should grow all the cherries that will serve Emerald City. If you have a friend who is also doing chives, you can go on the Monday and the Tuesday, they can go the Wednesday and Thursday, and the third person, because there will come a time when the person who's going from Monday to Tuesday might not have any, and then you can fill in. We got to learn to operate together. I also want to mention the fact that when you see this money going around, and the parties especially, I remember on Independence Day when they had that big party up on River Bay. They had one at River Bay, and the others had theirs somewhere else. Look at the word party, P-A-R-T-Y. I looked at the origins of the word, and I only did this because of Omar talking about etymology last night. And when you look at the etymology of the word, it came from the word part, to divide, to separate. And isn't that what they're doing when you have, I thought independence was something for all of us, but instead, no, you on one part and I on the other side, a divide. Similarly, when election comes, the people who own the big bucks, a lot of established corporate entities, they will give to some. Of course, one will get the most. Then another person will get more than what we will get. And if we do get any, so there's an imbalance. And everywhere on my phone, every time I turn on, vote BLP, everywhere you turn, you have all the polls, 3 and 4 and 5 on one poll, you know. I feel like the people they think that people are blind and you got to put 3 or 4 for them to see one. And, you know, it's like a wastage of money, really. But that is what was handed down to us from the days of slavery. The master, after we would have reaped, and my fathers would have reaped the crop. And celebration now, and to encourage the slaves for the next years, they would throw a big party. So I wonder if that's where the party thing come from, that you got, every minute you got to have a big party. You keep them divided, and you gravitate towards us. We as a people have got to be serious. A vote is very, very, very important. In my case, I know that I will not be here for much longer. I don't tell me, I know, because I've never seen, only my grandmother lived to 101. Even if I get 101, that isn't too long from now. So we've got to think about the future. Think about our children. What will make a difference to them? Do we want them to come up in a situation where they have political parties that are being financed by the conglomerates? And they're give me one t-shirt, give me a red one, I want this, I want that. We don't want that. We want you to create an environment where everybody feel like they have an equal opportunity. We have people in tourism, for example, with the big buses. And for years, the taxi drivers, they're crying out, they ain't getting no work out there. And now they're bringing it over as well. No, we got to start thinking that vote that you made today, the vote that I will make on Wednesday, is not for me. It is for my children. It is for their future. I can't imagine I go to the supermarket. Honestly, I can't imagine it. I couldn't imagine it because I saw it happen. I said, I'm going to take home some fruits for my daughter and her child. I was almost embarrassed. I got in there with $105. You know, when the thing came up, it was $98.20. And I only got about 5 fruits, you know. So honestly, understand that when the Friends of Democracy say that they are going to build and have food centers. I know the impact of that. I know that it will have an impact on sales. We think, man, we got brains in here, man. I admire Steffanie looking at the transportation situation here and how to improve it. I saw the video with them going from Ice Staines down to Bridgetown and so on and then onwards. And I'm happy that we have innovative and creative minds. However, I'm not a candidate. I'm here to introduce Kerry Thomas. Kerry is, I admire you, Kerry, for coming all the way from St. Thomas, right, to be here. Right? Probably that's how you got the name Thomas, from St. Thomas, but he's running in St. James Central. And I want to read a little bit about his bio because we don't hear much of him up in St. Philip in terms of what he has to offer. Kerry Thomas is a faith-based, driven, community-focused leader, offering himself as a candidate for St. James Central. He holds a diploma in production and operations management and theology, and has spent over 18 years with HIPAC Limited as a senior inventory clerk. He is also the owner of Tomco Enterprises, providing food and transportation services. He is a founder of Nuri Worship. He mentors young Christian musicians, and you see a lot of them at church. Wherever I go to church, there's always somebody beating a drum. And also in the technological section where they send off to YouTube, the congregation and so on. So he is an asset to Friends of Democracy. I for sure know that he will be, when he is elected, he will be keeping the bees in check. Always remember, what do we have to do when we are elected, everybody? Keep the bees in check. So, Kerry, I invite you to the podium. One big round of applause. Thanks for coming all the way up to St. Philip. So the wise men came to the east, and you, I believe, was one of those wise men.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Barbados. Good night, St. Philip Soul. Good night, Friends of Democracy. Good night. At this time, I want to acknowledge our leadership. I want to acknowledge our president, Karina Goodridge, our first, second, and third vice president, our executive committee, our general secretary. And, you know, we should give Mr. Steve Blackett a round of applause for bringing us so far. I tell you, as a person that actually does events, the standard, the quality, the resources, I acknowledge you, sir. And I look forward to greater. And if I know Mr. Steve Blackett, in the short time I know him, tomorrow and tomorrow evening will be epic. I also want to acknowledge and endorse, the candidate for St. Philip South. And I haven't really had the opportunity to know Mr. Omar Smith long, but I have a story to tell you all about Mr. Omar Smith. Now, me and Mr. Omar Smith would have been interviewed at the same time. And for the first time I saw Omar, I was, given the impression that, he was the person that was doing the interview, not the person that was about to be interviewed with me. Omar came out in a two-piece, slim fit suit, shiny shoes, and his Barbados emblem on the jacket. And I must tell you, the charisma this guy had, how he spoke, he had me beat 100-fold. But I have one on him because he also taught me not to eat a mint when he also taught me not to eat a mint when you're doing an interview because the mint went down the wrong hole. And for about 30 seconds or so, all of us in the room feared for his life. But he went up there, though. We have trained CPR people here and stuff like that. And to and to see how far Omar has come from then till now, it is amazing. And I want to endorse him as a representative from the Friends of Democracy for St. Philip South, that he will do an awesome job. So I encourage you all, hearing my voice, please vote Omar Smith. And we have other young, intelligent candidates. You know, we have Steffanie, we have Dominique, we have Katrina, we have Orlando, we have, some upcoming persons too. We have Jason, we have Jamal, we have myself, and last but not least, we have the president herself, Miss Karina Goodridge. And to be a part of this group, being trained, being mentored by seasoned politicians of the years past, and how humble they are that they will share their knowledge and their experience with us. I am eternally grateful for being a part of this party. And I know that history will be made on 11th of February 2026. Oh, yes. Now, in talking about history, I like history. And history tells us that on this day, they had a lot of significant things that happened on the 11th of February. For example, in 2020, the World Health Organization officially names the novel coronavirus COVID-19. Remember that? There may be one that you might not know. In 1809, a guy called Robert Fulton patents the steamboat. And in 2012, a famous pop star died. God rest her soul, Whitney Houston. And also on this day, in 1990, Nelson Mandela was released from the Victor Verster prison in South Africa after 27 years of imprisonment. So on this day, a lot has happened. On this day, we have seen a lot of historic events, rather good or bad, but they are historic. They were things that you remember. These things that you will tell your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren. And one other story that you will tell your great-grandchildren and history will record is when the Friends of Democracy becomes the next opposition in Barbados. All right. I want a little more off in the celebration. I want to hear it and make sure that you all believe it with us. Because we've been working hard. We've been working hard. We've been walking to and for. Some of us have been innovative, as our president would have issued. So when we are canvassing, we are putting up flyers. We have a driver. And if we have 10 feet between one pole and the next, somebody driving and somebody getting out and putting them up and getting back in car. So innovation at its finest. And also innovation is one of the things that we are being pushed to. We are not in the market of plagiarism, of copying, or of broken promises. So the things that we have in our manifesto are things that were created from the scratch. The things that are in our manifesto are things that were well thought, well scrutinized, and released very early before an election was even called. And what is most important about that is that they can't say, and when I mean they, I mean the other parties, that we took away any of their ideas. Exactly. And they can't say that we would have gotten a copy of their manifesto, whether it be a short one or a long one. But On our manifesto, I want to share two of our policies before I go. We have a lot of speakers tonight, and then tomorrow is a big day. Another historic moment of the Friends of Democracy, and I believe that you all will get updated afterwards. Ladies and gentlemen, the ZR van culture is one that has been critiqued, scrutinized, all right then, fret about for decades. And I can remember as a young lad going to school, at early school, my mother always would tell me that there was a man that used to get in the van, not a man, a boy, sorry. We you know, for the graduate. And one day, the conductor told him to let this girl sit down on him, and I'm not going to call the girl big or obese, but she was a fair size lady. And when he, you know, allowed her to sit down on her, by the time the van got to destination, he couldn't walk. And it was a serious thing because his spine was actually severed. So lo and behold, one day I am with my friends, you know, going to school, and like deja vu, the same thing nearly happened to me. But I was raised from a grandmother as well, so I didn't care who laughed at me. She would have sit up on your seat, and I sat down on her. I'm sorry. And I just brought that to your attention because this is what happens in Barbados right now. You know, the passion and the hustle in trying to get the amount of money, you know, to pay for the van. We know this. And the Friends of Democracy, we have come up with an innovative policy to try to combat that. Because a conductor's pay or a driver's pay isn't sure or isn't guaranteed. A conductor's pay and a driver's pay isn't fixed. There may be times where you can get $100 there, and then there may be times you get a $200 there. But at the end of the week, you still got to meet the requirement for the van rental. And what the Friends of Democracy has proposed is an award feature for not only the conductor, but the driver to help ease that hustle. And hopefully, and I say hopefully with belief in my heart, that alone would give a ease of mind. Not that we want you to be lazy and park the van only for peak hours and then go on, but we want to ensure that all of our drivers in the transportational sector of Barbados are accompanied for. Now that is innovative. And I don't think that we've heard about it before ever in Barbados. I dare say. And to be honest, that alone could help ease the traffic abuse, the parking abuse, we see on social media different fights and stuff like that happens because of the hustle. And we are asking and we are pleading with our ZR drivers and our conductors to conduct yourself in a professional manner and to, trust that of anything else, you have a political party that is thinking about you, that is providing a policy for you, and has your best interests at heart. And the next policy I want to speak on is the seed policy for our entrepreneurs that are budding. We propose to give over 100 small investments so that you could start up a business per year, equivalent to $15,000 per person. And we must understand that that is another innovative idea, because there are people that want to farm, there are people that want to create apps, maybe a food business, maybe a rent-a-car company. And transportation is one of the things that I specialize in. How I started was a rent-a-car. And it evolved from there. And I had nowhere near 15,000. So to hear 15,000 is on the table to start, that is amazing. Especially in a market that we have right now in 2026 that we have to combat with prices and what's not. And what I like about this seed policy is that it is open to every Barbadian that fits the criteria, the age limit. We don't, we have to be realistic when we are on these platforms. You have to qualify for it. But I assure you that the qualifications are not strict and steep. That when you go, you got to provide as my friend Lieutenant Harrison would say, what you say again now? Your mother rib cage and other things. It is an innovative policy that has been created. And, I encourage you all, and to hear my voice, to read our manifesto, learn what we want to do. I heard our friend Steffanie talk about the sea taxis. Understand that there's no traffic in the sea. There's no traffic in the sea. And last but not least, I want to talk about representation. Because in canvassing, we would have been enlightened and privy to the feelings of our constituents. And one of the first things that we have to do in the 10 minutes that we give ourselves to is we have to convince them that we are a new party, we are fresh faces, and ironically, after we have that conversation, we are then being told about the level of representation that they have. Unfortunately, it is not good. And I want to finish off with this in terms of representation, that you have people that are passionate about you. For today, I want to highlight Omar Smith. Omar Smith is roaring to go. Omar Smith has the ideas. Omar Smith has the tenacity and the charisma to get it done. Every person that I talk to about politics and they highlight Omar Smith, they call him the bread man. I wanted to highlight is that they say if I'm short on a purchase of bread, Omar would say, man, that ain't a problem, go along. Thank you for supporting me, but go along. And it's not a label that he can pass back with interest wanting for it, So that's just a brief example of what we have in our candidacy team to offer. So I finished with this, although I said that about 3 times so far, but I finished with this. On the 11th of February, vote the Friends of Democracy as your new historic leading opposition. Thank you and good night.
New Kerry in town. New Kerry in town. Feel the movement now. St. John Central, we rising somehow. God first, every step, every plan for the people, by the people, yes, we stand. New Kerry in town, hear the people sound. Growing community, we breaking new ground. God first, yeah, we putting him first. Time for real change, quench the people's thirst. Same name, but we not the same lane. One bring promise, one bring change. People tired of talk and delay.
Kerry Thomas. Thank you, Kerry. A very, 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 very good presentation. And like I said, the wise men always come to the east, so they leave St. Thomas and they came up here. Don't forget, we have 3 candidates in St. Philip. We have Anya Lorde, Omar Smith, and I thought nobody can. I see some people talking, and I thought she would have helped me with Karina Goodridge. How could you forget that? I forget. I just playing around. She is a top girl. Everybody in this party, I am so pleased. I used to be a school teacher, and let me tell you what they say. When I returned, have you know the number of parents that called me and asked me to come and give tuition lessons? Because I was good. I will let you all know this in a quiet way because I don't want it to go all over the world. But Kia McConney was one of my favorite students. I know what I like about her though. I know. So are you saying that I didn't teach you anything? If I teach you, you don't take it, you can't blame me. What I love about her is that she bought one of my books, and I thought that was the right person when she got to the Ministry of Education. I said, good. Everybody's talking about a book. Every person that I meet tell me this book should be in the schools, every school. I meet people at university say this should be compulsory reading for people in university. But, you know, it doesn't work that way. We have got to learn to love each other. We have got to give everybody that opportunity. Help each other out. Since I've written 9 books, people call me and I give them all the information, the procedure, and the procedures to go through. Let's make it, because I believe, I do honestly believe this. When I wrote the first book, it took me a year to sell 22 copies. And this is because Bajans wasn't supporting me. I couldn't understand. I just spent $4,700 about 25 years ago. And I get 22 books sold at $10 each, $220. But you know, God is so good. Don't doubt God, man. He's really, really good. You only see his blessings long after sometimes. But you know, I went to, someone invited me to 1627 and all of that. Tull, Dennis Tull. And when I finished, and I came outside, I saw people selling leather craft. Some were doing paintings. Some were doing woodwork that they carved out of mahogany. And I said to the lady, could you allow me to come and sell the next show you have? She said, no problem. All you have to do is give me $10. You know, in that night, one night, I sold 22 copies. I was fishing in the wrong pond. And I said that to say sometimes when you start up on a particular entrepreneurial idea, and you find that you think you're failing, go beyond the failing. Always tell yourself you will succeed. And that is what I want Omar and Anya and Kerry to do. People will come to them. We have to stop giving people a fish and teach them how to fish. I don't like to boast about what I've written 9 books. They are well received. Tonight, I just want to share with you, as I promised, and the reason why I'm doing this is that I want to take over the meeting. But I want to let you understand that if you are on YouTube or on Facebook or Instagram, that we will be putting up how you can hit on Friends of Democracy page, or pages, and go straight to Amazon. Please go and support my work. I am all right. I need not money. I want it for the Friends of Democracy so that we can have a cushion on which we could build. We won't have to depend on these people, calling them and ask them to support you, because they know who they will support, because they know that if they give this particular party a whole heap of money, Bajans are not going to think. They're going to hold on. It's going to impact on them, and therefore keep us in the dark. We want to be on an equal footing, and you can help us out there in the world. Tip on it, click on it, and I guarantee you that we will get a substantial check to give to Friends of Democracy. All right, next person is up is Anya. And when I looked at Anya just now, and her, yes please. Yes, please. You're the boyfriend, you say? Listen, this woman is so good. 36 years and done so much. You know what I admire most about her? I admire the fact that she actually represented people at the Court of Justice, the Supreme last Court of Appeal in our jurisdiction. That is a great woman. And if you continue to tell me things like that, I can talk a little longer. I wanted to do something else, and I decided I got to big up this girl. Yeah, bring your girl. All right, Anya, come forward. Oh, man, I don't know. You brought tears to my eyes to know that we in the Friends of Democracy can have such a powerful lady doing what she does. Thank you so much, Anya. Come over and have a...
Africa to the roads of St. Philip. Any Lorde, either for the people, any Lorde.
Good night, good night, good night.
On the front line.
St. Philip South, good night.
Anya Lorde walk with truth and respect, accountable leadership, people elect.
We are here tonight to support Omar Smith.
6 roads stand up, any Lorde tonight.
He is the man for the job here in St. Philip South. Now, there's some false advertising happening here. I wish I was 36 years old. I'm not. I can match any 36-year-old though, but I'm not 36 years old anymore. I won't say I'm long past it either, but I'm past it. All right. Last night when Omar spoke in St. Philip North, he said that he was excited because he was at home. And I now have the privilege to say that I am at home too, here in St. Philip South. So I am happy to speak here tonight because I only live a stone's throw away from here. In fact, I'm sure that my mother could hear me right now. Right? Let me start by saying that when you look at the Friends of Democracy, at least in my opinion, we are at the finish line in one part of our journey because we have a long, long way to go. But when you look at us, I know that we, the Friends of Democracy, our name is going to be written in the history of the political landscape of this country. When you look at what we have done in such a short space of time, and I've been listening to people, our presentation, the fact that our candidates have come out and we have stood up and we don't have to depend on lewd, lower class, slapstick behavior, as I say, dirty politics, to get our points across. When you look at our presentation, I think that we have raised the standard and raised the bar in this country. And I have said it before, and I will say it again, the Friends of Democracy is going nowhere. We are here to stay. Now, there's something that troubled me this morning. I was listening to the radio. I don't remember what station, because I have a 5-year-old that drives me crazy. But I was listening to the radio, and the announcer had asked a question. People needed to indicate why or if they were voting or not, and if they were not voting, why? Why not? And a particular woman, I'm not going to quote her because I don't want to misquote her, but she said she was not voting. She gave her reason. But what concerned me was that she linked the relationship or the place that we are as a society to an abusive relationship. She said something along the lines of, it's like being in an abusive relationship. You know that you're getting beat, you know that you're being abused, but you're not going to go anywhere because you don't know what you're going to get if you leave. And I thought to myself that that is a very, 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 very significant statement. Because that doesn't just speak to voter apathy, That is a psychological issue. These are the things that I would tell some person in my practice in domestic violence that they needed to seek counseling to address. And that's when I realized that we are not just dealing with persons who are simply tired of the culture of politics in this country. We are actually dealing with people who are and who have been psychologically beaten down. They have lost hope completely. They have lost faith. And they have come to the position that the only thing left is to simply accept their fate. And I think that that is a serious issue. And what I would say is that as we go forward, and I'm not just speaking for the candidates in the Friends of Democracy, I'm speaking to all politicians. As we go forward, I think the role of the politician really needs to change after this 2026 election and beyond. Because with good governance must come education. And I'm not going to speak for very long because I know that my friend Omar has to take the stand tonight. But with good governance must come education. I believe, it is true. I believe that it is Winston Churchill that said, democracy is the worst form of government except for all others. Yes, but I believe it is him that said so. And I want you to understand that with good governance, or I should say governance and education, there's a symbiotic relationship between the two. If the electorate is not interested, the electorate will eventually be uninformed because they will not be paying attention to what is happening. Accountability is impossible if you don't understand policy, economics, or even your own rights. And I'm not talking about academic education, I am talking about civic literacy. And what I will say, and I know some people will not like it, it is very easy to blame bad politicians. We blame bad politicians all the time, but the fact is that these bad politicians are a reflection of the society that we live in. Whether we care to accept it or not, they are a reflection of the society that we come from. So if we want better governance, if we want to see better leadership, if we want to see more accountability, we have to level up the players. And if you want to level up the players, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, you need to vote Friends of Democracy. Now I'm going to go on quickly to introduce, or to tell you, I can't say introduce, that's not my role here tonight. The Master of Ceremonies might throw me over the sea rock behind there. But I want to go on quickly to just tell you a few things about Omar and why he's not just a friend here in the party, but he's my friend outside of the party. Omar loves to feed people. Loves to feed people. Omar believes in food. He believes that nobody should be left hungry. And that is always something that has stayed with me. You heard it tonight for yourself. Omar would travel up and down St. Philip. And people who can't afford to pay him the full cost for his bread, he will give it to them because he knows the importance of feeding families. Omar is the spokesperson for agriculture in the party. And it hasn't missed me that he is from St. Philip and that St. Philip is the traditional, or has been called the traditional breadbasket of the country. And many may not know because St. Philip is fully developed or almost fully developed now. I don't know, it has changed over the last couple of years. But as a child growing up, I remember when St. Philip was just riddled with agricultural land. It is very much known for its root crops, yams, sweet potatoes, onions, especially there in St. Philip North, I should say. But as a spokesperson for agriculture, I want you to understand that Omar is holding the keys to this island's resilience. Because a country that cannot feed itself will be at the mercy. It will be at the mercy of the global supply chains. So I want you to, when you think about Omar, as he talks to you about agriculture, I want you to recognize that agriculture is not just about farming. Agriculture is about our sovereignty as a country. Omar is taking up the mantle to lead in an era of what I would call agri-tech. Omar believes that he can restore St. Philip to being the breadbasket of this country. So you will hear Omar talk about things like vertical farming and hydroponics, which become important because St. Philip is also one of the driest parishes, if not the driest parish in the country. And I find it interesting that we are talking about agriculture and that he talks about agriculture now at this time, because we're talking about it at a pivotal moment. Many of you may not know that we've just came out of the 25 by 2025 target, which is the CARICOM initiative to reduce imports by 25%. So the discussion is moving away from trying to a discussion on sustaining and resilience. And I know that Omar will tell you more about this, but this is exactly where we are as a country right now. Sustaining and resilience, sustaining and scaling. How do we strengthen our economies? How do we strengthen our families? How do we strengthen our communities? That is where the discussion has been for the last couple months. And I think given the landscape of this country, the economic landscape, the political landscape, that is where the discussion is going to be for a while. You've heard me carry on and rattle on about community development and the need to get back in the communities. Everybody now knows that crime is a national issue. Everybody now knows that we all have to work together to deal with the issues facing our youth. Everybody now knows that we have to deal with issues at the community level if we want to see greater sustainability. So I'm not going to keep you much longer. What I'm going to say to you is that as you listen to Omar tonight, I want you to think critically, think analytically. I don't just want you to hear what politicians have to say to you. I don't just want you to hear what we are saying to you and swallow it because it sounds nice or because the rhetoric makes or appears to make, I would say, pretty sense. It's pretty talk. That's what Bajans like to call it, pretty talk. I want you to think critically, think analytically. Are we really presenting policies that will benefit you? And if what you have seen has not been of any benefit to you in the past, what gives you the impression or what makes you believe that it is going to change in the future? We can't take the position that we have to continue to accept abuse because it is normal. We have to change our mindset and we have to pull our way out of it. So this is where I'm going to leave you. I've decided to keep it very short. Thank you for listening and have a very good night. And of course, I want you to vote Omar Smith for St. Philip South.
Anya Lorde from
From the roots of Africa to the roads of
St.
St.
Philip
Philip.
North. I want all 12. All 12. Remember, when you vote for 12, we can't form a government with 12, but we can make a strong opposition. I am not going to keep you into the long talk. I was hoping that by mentioning the books, it would encourage people to buy so that in the long run it would benefit us. But if the view is that you're too long-winded, let me just go straight into inviting the next representative for St. Philip South in the form of Omar, the breadman, Smith. Welcome to the stage. I'm gonna let this song play a little bit.
One power shot, one gathered sound. Diamond Valley, forever strong. Ocean City, carry the song. See you see the children rise. Casking step with lifted eyes. Gems with filled with purpose free. Curtains hear this flow from me. Curtains. Omar Smith will educate your children beyond expectancy. Not just exams, but life and destiny. Rise is call for justice now. Bring them on respect somehow. Ruby shine with open truth. Work out built by hands and youth. Rally round St. Philip South.
Now and forever.
With Omar Smith we rise together. Democracy. Friends of democracy, people first.
Now and forever. That's what Liz singing talent too. Now and forever, how long? St. Philip, no and forever, no and forever. Good night, good night, good night, good night.
What a beautiful moment this is. I remember when I used to DJ too, I used to do them things. Yes, please. Good night.
I have a
everybody.
dream.
Thank you all guys so much for such a presentation that y'all done on my behalf. I couldn't ask for something that is more beautiful, more nutritious, more. The words are just lost. You know, it's unbelievable. And this is something that we need to grow to let people know that we have gone beyond the realm of being a party, but realistically we are friends. And friends not for ourselves as a people, but friends of democracy for Barbados. And therefore, we are going to approach tonight a vision that is transcended not by myself, one that has been heavily articulated, one that has been heavily scrutinized, one that has been bashed by my friend, one of my customers. I thought that he was somewhere down by Spring Garden because he gave me a hard rock. It wasn't a rock cake, but it was a hard rock. He said to me tonight while I was there at the bar that if I don't deliver what I said I would, if I am just going to be like the rest and speaking to you, the people of St. Philip South and to Barbados, things that I would not keep, I should not pass back through his gap. Yeah, the Chihuahua effect. And I am happy that we still have the guardians of democracy. And tonight, my passion, I haven't drank any passion fruit juice though. But my approach tonight will be a little bit more subtle, or a little bit more different to what you are accustomed to seeing, because the democracy is at the ballot within the next couple of hours. And I thank the people of St. Philip South. And I thank you, my fellow comrades, my fellow friends, who would have placed your faith within me, as I equally place my faith within you all guys, to restore and to rebuild this country into a place where we rightfully belong. I equally thank you, the media houses, who would have taken your time to respond and to report and to share with the global space and equally our local people as to what the Friends of Democracy has to offer to this country. It is something that is, it reminds me of when I spent a lot of time in church. It's a joy that is unbelievable and full of glory. And tonight, yes, I'm a church person. I believe in God, and it's only because of the grace of God that I'm here tonight. And this country has to have God first. And we can realistically look at the Friends of Democracy and recognize that every person, every candidate in this country Friends, democracy leads the Christian way. And you can't get anything better than that. Because we put God first. And where there is a vision, the people shall not perish, my friends. Of course. And I thank you, Madam President, the boss lady of all things, for giving me this podium tonight. A lady who has transcended across island states. A lady who will touch the international arena. A lady who has the tenacity, the vision, driven by purpose that isn't loose or selfish. If you want a true leader, I would say to you, look at Madam President Karina Goodridge, a phenomenal lady, and you should give her a round of applause. And tonight, I am going to speak to you, and realistically, isn't something that I don't even imagine could even come into my mental conception, because realistically, the beauty is untold. The gem that the Friends of Democracy is about to unfold to Barbados is a joy that you would never expect. Sorry. We, the people of the Friends of Democracy, are saying to Barbadians that we have a different approach to the governance of this country. We have looked at and examined the manifestation of their manifestos. Manifestos that doesn't articulate how we are going to realistically bring our country into something that is sovereign, something that is self-sustainable, something that really makes sense. But we, the Friends of Democracy, have really put together from inception an approach that really makes a self-sustainable calculation to build our country into a self-reliance and a self-sustainability approach. And from my regard, that is why I would have, from inception, set about doing something that I'm going to talk about right now. Realistically, farmers across the length and breadth of this country are hurting. They are putting their monies out. People in the river, plantation, government will spend millions of dollars in developing a pond, as you will call it, and yet farmers have to be carrying a bucket of water. This kind of approach cannot work. If we are going to be serious about bringing self-sustainability into this country, and I want you to forgive my tone, because I cannot speak within the brackets of looking for applause. It's concerning. I want Barbados to understand that if we are going to really tackle our cost of living, we cannot only speak on the front of looking for applause or looking for headlines. But this is something that is very important and very dangerous to the approach of how both the Democrat Labour Party and the Barbados Party is approaching our livelihoods. This is a serious issue. And tonight, I am going to lay out a series of initiatives that how we, the people of St. Philip South, is going to lead the forefront in bringing agriculture into its rightful place as an example for not only St. Philip South, but for Barbados and the Caribbean. And therefore, based on this initiative, I myself, Omar Smith, would have thought about recognizing that agriculture cannot only be on a plantation approach to bring about self-sustainability or the health approach. And therefore, based on that premise, we recognize that a lot of people don't or think they don't have the green thumb. And the Prime Minister of Barbados, in her intelligence, would have just launched an initiative in St. Lucie, Brownwater or otherwise, to educate the people of Barbados, a select few, as to how they're going to make agriculture more viable in Barbados. But what I want to tell you, the people of St. Philip South and Barbados, is that I, Omar Smith, the candidate and spokesperson for agriculture, have developed an app that is going to make agriculture available, teachable to every household in this country as long as you decide to log on to the app. Something that is, you don't have to travel from here all up there, but you can tap into your phone or your PC. This is what the modern agricultural approach needs to be in this country, so that we can attack and deliver food security for those who, as I said earlier, who don't have the green thumb. And what this app does, and you will see it very soon. We don't have the necessary thing to display right now. It will show you the weather conditions that will be displayed according to what the satellites give you. It will equally give you a day-to-day update as to what you're going to sow, when you're going to reap, what pests you might encounter, and equally the necessary fertilization and the natural pesticides and fungicides that you can apply to meet an organic approach to this building of a healthier nation. Equally, it's not only going to be for those who are planting crops, but it would realistically be an avenue for those who will be growing pigs, sheep, and all the necessary animals, so that you would have a ready market available to give you the best price available. Because what has happened, because of the imports that James Paul and all the other people of the Ministry of Agriculture are complaining about, we will, for the first time in St. Philip South, have a ready market available unto ourselves. Something that has never, ever happened in Barbados. They don't have the people at heart. They never took the time to recognize that we must institute and create markets within ourselves so that we can get the best price and the healthiest produce to support ourselves. And this must be the forefront and the mental positioning that encourage persons to be able to get into agriculture and make it a living and something that is respectable in this country. Too long, agriculture has been seen as something that is dismal, something that persons wouldn't want to get involved with because of how the pay and the results have been conditioned. But we can no longer see agriculture, and if you look at COVID, if you reminisce on COVID, who did we have to rely on? Who did we have to rely on, my friends? It was only the farmers. And we therefore must make sure that agriculture is on the forefront of our ethos for the growth of this country, not only within the respect of food, but equally via biofuel, equally via healthcare, equally via housing. Agriculture is the single most important factor, a government institution that plays the most pivotal role in any government that exists in any country in the world. And we must make sure that we will create jobs via agriculture in Barbados. We will reduce the cost of living via agriculture in Barbados. And for sure, we will make Barbados a hub for self-sustainability in this country. It's about time that we recognize that agriculture plays the most pivotal, and you can look at other countries in the world, whether it was Egypt, Suriname, and you can look at the sugarcane farmers and the sugarcane producers all across the length and breadth of the news headlines. They're complaining. Why? Because we have a square peg in a round hole in Barbados. We don't have a person who really respects and understands, overstands, and understands the importance of agriculture in Barbados for too long. And this is sad, because the Minister of Agriculture is the Minister of Health. And how long can we continue to put a Minister of Agriculture into a position because you don't like it, or you don't, well, it was never she, but you don't like it. this can no longer work. We need to establish the fact that the Minister of Agriculture is one of the most important people in this country and one of the most important people in this world who is going to determine our cost of living, our cost of fuel, our cost of housing, our cost of everything that exists upon the soil. And we need somebody who knows how to get the job done. Because everybody needs to eat. Everybody needs to have a good health care. Everybody needs proper housing. Everybody needs proper shelter. Everybody needs good prices at the pump. And this is what I am about, bringing Barbados into a self-sustainability place whereby you don't have to reduce your independency based on what exists on the international markets. We can get Barbados right if we do it good here. There are too many young people here in this country based on the cost of living, and I'm speaking from my background or my foreground or whatever ground you can think about, who cannot access housing, who cannot afford to approach a lending institute based on when you examine what they earn versus their expenditure, how they can feed themselves first and foremost, and how equally they can finance a loan outside something that is automobile. This is madness. But yet we have a government that is saying to people that you need to own a piece of this rock. How the hell you can do that? Tell me how we can do that if your cost of living is so high. I come to talk to the people tonight. And I take off my hat, although I ain't had none. Some people tell me I ain't supposed to smile either. But this is not a laughing matter. This is a reality that we facing, my friends. So when you're going to get a government that is going to present a budget to you, telling you, give me $5,000 here, $1,000 here, and this thing here, this is economic terrorism. This is not an ecological approach to how we can solve the problems in Barbados. But this is what you call combatima. And we cannot prostitute ourselves into liberty. But liberty will come from the friends of democracy because we know how to get it done. This is a serious conversation that we have to have with ourselves, my friends. Are you going to continue to listen to the Barbados Labour Party? Are you going to continue to listen to the Democrat Labour Party with their folly and ignorance that doesn't work? And tonight, I am very serious. I have never get myself into this passion. I didn't have passion fruit tonight, but I'm talking to you. How can we deliver ourselves out of this bondage? How can we birth ourselves out of this bondage unless we work with the friends of democracy, the gem of beauty? Look at it. A beauty that has told you from inception that we need to really develop a homegrown plan. A policy and policies that says to you that is self-sustainable, homegrown, one that you can identify with, really look at, and see for yourself and search within your mental metabolism. Search yourself and realistically look at the real situation. I can't remember who sang that song, but it's a reality. Bob Marley. And the real situation says that if we are going to make Barbados the most beautiful place again, we have to tackle the real situations. And the real situation is that if we are going to build this country, we have to have some sort of fuel sovereignty. Because fuel determines price. And with a country that only has 21 days of fuel, it can't work based on the international market price. But what Friends of Democracy is proposing to you, the people of Barbados, is for us to begin to work with the natural resources. And this thing that Barbados doesn't have any natural resources, that is a mad approach. I don't agree with that. That is foolishness. We have all that it takes in this country to build what we need and to get what we need to make ourselves comfortable in this country. But you have to have the vision, and the Bible said to you and says to you, where there's no vision, the people will perish. And it's a realistic fact. If you don't have the vision, you will fall for anything. You would go along with anything that they say to you. But the Friends of Democracy is here to say to you, we have a vision for you, a vision that is going to work for you, and it will build and restore our country and help you to know that Barbados loves you. And so tonight, my friends, I'm going to speak for St. Philip South, because I've been speaking tonight mostly on a national level. But tonight, I equally must speak for St. Philip South, because I got some guys here who are, very, very serious about my tenureship as minister for St. Philip South. And I therefore have to speak to them too. And equally, Anya Lorde told me that Omar, along with Dominique Yorke, that I must speak a little bit lengthy tonight. And I don't have any problem with that, because I play test cricket and I play 2022. And tonight, I will begin to say to you, the people of St. Philip South, I love you. And you love me too. It is a relationship that has grown over many years. And I am saying to you, the people of St. Philip South, you have showed me so much love that is unbelievable. And therefore, based on that love that you have given unto me, I will replicate, duplicate, and authenticate what I can do for you, because you are so, so good a people. And therefore, on that pretense, I gonna say to y'all guys, the people of St. Philip South, when it comes to housing, we have an initiative that is going to make housing affordable and speaking within the confinements of the policies of the Friends of Democracy, whereby we are going to use bamboo. And I've had persons who ask me some questions, Omar, what do you mean by bamboo? You mean you can string up something and thing? No. But bamboo is one of the most formidable materials that when put together makes lumber strong as steel. And equally, we have a prime minister who is a globetrotter talking about global emissions. But still we are building all kinds of concrete structures across the space of Barbados. Which it means then that you're not true to your words. And that is why when I was asked to draft the policy pertaining to agriculture, sort out how we are going to make ourselves in alignment with global emissions and how we are going to address that within a sustainable approach. And bamboo is the only plant that allows you to give you a sturdy, strong house and doesn't have the emissions that you would get from concrete that is being built across the length and breadth of this country. Equally, fast forwarding into tourism, St. Philip South have a lot of guys who are working across the length and breadth of the beaches. And we are equally going to work with those guys who have the horses and all the other amenities to build an eco-tourism product across the length and breadth of St. Philip South. Outside of that, this is fast forwarded, we are equally going to make sure that we have an educational system that really brings our children in this constituency into the length and breadth of what is ascertained by Singapore, Finland, and all those other folks. Friends, I wish I had more time. I thank you very much for coming out. And via my Facebook post, you would see and hear a whole different approach as to how we are going to bring St. Philip South into a 2030 experience and building this country into a whole different way. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. God bless Barbados. God bless St. Philip South. Together, we rise. Omar Smith, the next representative for St. Philip South, under the banner of Friends of Democracy.
We have to keep the bees in check. We have to keep the bees in check. Now, I know it's getting late and everybody, we have to prepare for tomorrow. We can have a big motorcade and so on. Look into the chat and you'll see exactly how we're doing it and when we're doing it. But right now, we have our president and Karina Goodridge. I have no doubt in my mind. I believe that she will win her seat fairly easily. She's put in the work. I pass through the constituency and see what people are saying and hearing, and I see the posters up. So I want you to bring on stage Miss Karina Goodridge, President of Friends of Democracy. Ladies and gentlemen.
Good night. I'm gonna take it out. Good night, St. Philip South. I've come out here to support Mr. Omar Smith, and I want you to get behind him and give him your support, because he's representing the Friends of Democracy. And while I was sitting in the back, you know I don't miss anything. I would have heard Kemmerick talking, and he said, you were a teacher, yes? And you teach Kemmerick. So I want to throw out some questions to you. You will be the teacher, and I will do the multiple choice. So can you tell me tonight, which of my opponents is always flying on the Prime Minister coattail? And can you tell me which of my opponents does disappear more than Casper the Ghost? The answer is? Okay. And can you tell me then, Kemmerick, which of my opponents has just rise from the ashes, does curse worse than a pirate, and pull a gun in Parliament before, cussing people, mothers and daughters all over the country, and should be sleeping in bed at night? Who is that opponent? I ain't hearing when I frightened that he gonna pull the gun again. Don't get scared. I am here. And tonight, I want to get serious with every Barbadian that is present, because we got an issue in this country when it comes to debt temptation. This country has passed its debt threshold of 40%. We have passed the debt limit. And I can tell you that if we believe that tourism is the only answer to bringing money in this economy, well, I can assure you it is the most volatile revenue source in Barbados. Because at the end of the day, we don't sit and think about the pandemics and what can come and hurt this country. We don't think about the natural disasters. And that is what you should be thinking about right now. What can happen next? And why we are so high in debt, just continuously borrowing in the country. And I can assure you that if Barbados continues to borrow, our currency would be weakened in this economy. Long-term investors will not even want to look at us. Right now, we are suffering from things in this economy that will hurt us, because at the end of the day, all of this high debt, it will cause us issues. And this is something that I want to bring to the mind of people. We cannot be continuously borrowing, and then we don't even think about diversifying into manufacturing, technology, and agriculture, even high revenue ideas. Because that is what we need, all of the high revenue services that can bring money into the economy. I am telling you that we cannot just sit by and rely on tourism. And you know what the Barbados Labour Party always think is the answer? Borrowing or building big resources. Because in this country, they believe that when you build all the big resources, then money will come. But that is a risk. Because you can't just sit by in this country and just say tourism is going to bring money and then you don't have any proper investment plans. And I'm not easing up on that topic because Barbados needs to think about all of the services that can benefit this country. We need to expand. We need to come with better ideas and plans outside of just thinking about tourist tips. Because our survival matters. And at the end of the day, if a hurricane comes tomorrow, you know everything shut down. At the end of the day, if a pandemic hits us, you know everything shut down. So it can't just be about tourism. And when we are in high debt, then of course we'll be constrained when it comes to future policies and implementation of those policies. And worse, when a government back is against the wall, then they have to make cuts and have to make hard decisions. And that is what you see in this country. Everything then has to be sell off. We always got to think how we got to sell off something in order to make money. Because of course, when we take all the IMF contracts, we have to then obey those contracts. At the end of the day, I would advocate and say some of those contracts that we allow in the country, we will love reverse. Because at the end of the day, we have to protect our national assets. And this is what I want you to be thinking about. Because at the end of the day, we can't just sit by and wait on a tourist tip. That is like spending a credit card widely. Go and spend everything and just tell yourself, okay, I will get tips. I will get some money. No real plans. No real pushing about agriculture and technology. These things make me really upset because I'm wondering all of this time, all of the time that the Barbados Labour Party would have spent in Parliament, and you are not hearing the conversations outside of all the building of big resources. Big resources all the time. Let's build a big resort. Let's sell the people land. Let's continue to sell as much as we can because everything is about bringing that tourism and how we're going to get tourists to come here. But nobody is studying about the external shocks. Nobody is studying about the pandemics. Nobody is recognizing that if we continue to borrow and we pass the threshold so far, that even in 2018, this country was past 15 billion in debt. And we still climbing because the Bajans, I don't want you to get comfortable. We cannot get comfortable because at the end of the day, when our dollar drops, when our currency weakens, you would understand where you stand globally. So when the IMF gives warning and say, watch it, don't go past that 40% threshold, and you go past, it shows you don't have any fiscal discipline in the nation, man. So we can sit by and we can allow the country to be Barbados and money to go up, and then we will struggle. We will struggle. And we don't know the time or the hour that the next pandemic will come. You don't know. Because the first one that came, you had no clue. And this is why I keep on saying, you need ministers in Parliament who are going to be prepared before things happen. Why will we sit by and wait for the next natural disaster to start studying what investment plans you can have, what can build this economy, what can help to sustain this economy? Are we waiting till the next pandemic comes? Are we waiting for the next natural disaster, the next hurricane to hit us before we wise up and say to ourselves, but look how we can advance technology, manufacturing, how we can advance agriculture in order to bring money in this economy? It cannot just be tourism. It can't just be tourism, man. That is why you need opposition, and I will continue to reiterate this factor. Because when you just have the D's and the B's standing there, and they're just cussing one another, and it is all about puppet games, you will continue to be the ones who will continuously struggle
You suffer at the feet of the mercy of the government. That's where you are, because you put them to govern you. You elect them to govern you. And then when they are governing you and they can't think of a great idea to see past tourism, where are you? You know how it is when you visit some countries and the dollar is so low? Think about that for a second. Think about how people even view that country. Think about where we are in the Caribbean right now, with all these geopolitical tensions going on. Think about that. Because at the end of the day, you know, you hear the news, war could break out in the Caribbean. We need to protect our country, and we need to get the debt control. Because no matter what, we are feeling it. We are feeling the high cost of living. And you know what they're doing? All they're doing to rectify the matter is to continue borrowing more, continue building the reserves. That is not the answer, my friends. It is really not. And it is sad. 7 years pass. They will come and they will say, okay, well, we carried down. But the BLP had it high and the DLP had it worse. All two. And this is why I keep reminding you, this is why you need to explore other options, because you need people who will stand and recognize these things and recognize that the more depth you're going, all this talk about policies and we want to push for you, and this country is so much in debt, it is them that will prevent you. Because if they continue in high debt, it is a constraint on implementing future policies that will benefit you. But it doesn't stop our plan. Our plan is still to give you the best policies that will better your lives, because we understand that you need it. We understand that when we have to come out here and we have to tell you, listen to me, this cost of living is such a burden on the people, and the people need some ease. But the same way how they can write off $1 billion for VAT, but they better think of a good investment plan to ensure that the people can survive. How can an economy survive if everybody just dead flat? Can't afford. Everybody just feel like a whole weight is on them. We won't want to live here. No, we won't. Look at the decisions that were made. Our greatest national asset. We take so much pride in knowing that the transport board is owned by the government. But here we are in a season where, without any consultation, then you're hearing that the transport board is being sold, privatized. So, first of all, there are going to be people who had jobs that ain't gonna got none. Then, second of all, the price will go up for bus fare. Thirdly, the driver will choose whether he will want to go certain routes and whether or not. But we have assigned routes here that whether those routes are profitable or not, the bus has to go, because the government is managing the transport boards. And I keep reminding Barbadians, we cannot be a backward country, because we have to know where we came from. And where we came from, we don't want to go back. So if we were getting onto private vehicles and we found it being expensive and we were taken from there, why are we going back for? And that is why we say no to the privatization of the transport boards. And we have been consistently saying it, because we know the cry of the nation. We know that when it becomes private, if the government pushes it, that there are going to be people who are going to be upset about the transportation, because they know that changes will come and uncomfortable changes could come. That is a possibility. So we can't just sit by and let whatever the government decides to be sold, to be sold. We have to stand up for our national treasures. for the things in this country that we hold dear to our hearts. And we have to understand why we need to hold it dear to our hearts. We have to be thinking about the elderly who have to get on the bus, the school children who have to get on the bus, all of the taxpayers who contribute to this nation, who direly needs the bus. I don't know why we sit so quiet. Maybe you want me to keep noise for you, and that is not a problem. I will continue to be the voice for the voiceless. I will continue to be the voice when people will not speak out. And I am glad that at this point in my life, when I am in politics, that God picked me up. Because at the end of the day, I will be one that got to call Faith Calendar to give one of the Bajan code when they got to tell off the Barbados government. The Lord always knows what he does we do. Because I am one that have seen the pensioners cry. The pensioners have complained about the cost of living. The pensioners have felt the burden of having to pay rent and only have a low pension check. The pensioners do not need to be taxed that way. They already contributed to society. So this is why we continuously push our policies. And that is why the others always want to thief them. Because they are good. And when they try to say, oh, but they won't be the opposition, but they still want to come with ideas. This is Barbados. And if this is Barbados, there's ideas that will not fall to the ground. As long as it can help transform and change the lives of the people, we will continue to push ideas. Just because we say that we won't be opposition, it don't mean that we come to just oppose or we come empty-handed. So we will push our policies. And when we say 67% of the pensioners' money should not be taxed, it means we value the pensioners. We value who they are. We value their contribution to this nation. They are the vulnerable members of this society. And that is why they should never be forgotten. But you see, if we live in a country that can't even remember to value its history, then how will it value its people? You cannot sit by and forget your history. And that is why I will continuously say, every time I go on an island safari in this nation, and I travel to certain places in Barbados, and I look at the historic sites, the things that can help with cultural tourism and education to allow school children to go back to certain sites and see our history and see where the slaves were and see what the slaves did. Nobody is pushing that because it seemed to be insignificant. They won't even clean those sites so that when tourists come, tourists will appreciate where we came from and they know where we are now because they see how far we came. Oh no, in this country, many students at schools should be taught our history. They should have such a strong educational background in history. But the government keeps dropping the ball. Because you know why? Everything is about all the parties. And they are giving them what they like, but they are not giving them what they need. And you have to apply pressure on them. And that is why we keep saying that we come to keep the bees in check. Because the bees need to be kept in check. They need to be accountable to the Barbadian people. There was no accountability with that wiretapping because they said they're given a mission and they stand and say in Parliament that yes, we were tapping the people's phone with no law, no regulation in place. Who are you? When the people break the law, they have to pay. But when the government breaks the law, we seem to be silent on statutes. I don't understand it, and it has me greatly confused because I believe that the pressure should be on both sides. Just like our policies, keep the pressure on both sides, man. Because at the end of the day, when the government owes you, our policy is pay back the people with interest. You know how many people call my phone and tell me how long it takes them to just get income tax? how long it took them to just get money that was owed to them, money that you worked for. You know how long it takes some people after Kerry Festa, when Monroe come out and tell a bunch of lies and say that they will bring out the estimates, just fancy talk to keep people quiet. Oh yes, we will bring it out, but nothing, because they believe that they can get away with anything, and it is wrong. We need to bring accountability in this country. Accountability is a must. Accountability is a democratic right in this country. You cannot just dictate and do what you feel like. That is not democracy. Democracy should represent balance, the voice of the people, and there needs to be a people that will stand in parliament and preach accountability of this country, because we are convinced in this country there is waste, we suspect it, and we can afford to suspect it, because if we are asking for those same estimates from Kerry Festa and nobody has not produced them, we could suspect anything that we feel like, because we don't know if there was waste allocated. We have no idea. We don't have any idea if 100 billion was spent, 400 billion was spent. You can't tell me that something was good if you don't even have no evidence of what was done. And that is the real problem I have, because I have walked and I have met people on these same streets all around St. Philip. I know St. Philip well because I'm a Philippine. And I know very well that there are people who have been complaining about housing for so long. And when the people of this nation ask about the housing projects and they ask about the money, they can get no answer. And I want Barbados to know that that is not the standard of government that we should subject ourselves to. No government that don't want to give you answers to something that you have seriously contributed to. Every time you go to work, you have contributed. All the government does is hold the public purse. It's like a purse and they hold your money. It doesn't mean that you can go in the purse and do whatever you feel like with the money. You can't just take out the money of the people, of the hardware, of the taxpayers, and do as you like. And then when it comes to transparency, you go silent. This ain't no fly-by-night government. This is Barbados. This is our country. This country belongs to us. This country belongs to no Karina or no one-man show. This is the country that belongs to the people. And that is something that I want every Bajan to understand. It doesn't belong to anybody just because they may be popular. We never came to hate people. We didn't say that. We said we come with a mission. And our mission is to help this country. We even said it in our mission statements. We said, hey, we've come to agitate. We've come to develop and pursue programs and policies for the better development of Barbados. Because Barbados needs developing. Because as much as we talk about tourism and we dare get a bad reputation in debt, and we have to be dealing with all of the high interest rates, we, the people, will get bad reputation in this country. So we will continue to advocate for you. Take the VAT off of the food for the people. Because you see, anybody that don't realize that a man's survival is really on his belly, because if you don't eat, how are you going to survive? Name a person that didn't eat and still survive. I can tell you, yes, you can fast, and you might last a couple of weeks, maybe a month. But I can tell you after that, you need to ensure that your belly is lit. You have food in it. And that is why we continuously push policies like taking the VAT off of food. And we don't plan to ease up on it because we know that based on the BLP manifesto, they can find ideas and plans that includes having lots of money. Because if you're saying that you can take up 5 million and you can put it here, or you're saying that you can take a policy and you can fund it there, why is it that you cannot say then that you can cut the VAT? I'm still waiting on the explanation for that. I back up mismanagement because our hospital needs to be better. Many people are complaining continuously about the pushbacks for the dates given to them for either operations or certain visits. That is a service that should be given to you, not because you just exist as just human. It is a civil right. It is your right to get the right services and medical treatment. So here we are as a party, and we are telling you that we plan to give you another hospital. I will push our policies because at the end of the day, you need another hospital. You don't need people out here killing you with any brown water or making you ill. God forbid. Because they were the same ones that did nothing when the water was brown for those St. Lucie residents. And St. Lucie was crying out. And you would believe that St. Lucie has an MP? You would believe that St. Lucie has an MP? And all they can do is take a party and a celebration down to St. Lucie after the residents were crying out for so long about better water. I have been there. I have seen the dirty filters. I have been there. I have seen how brown the water was. I have been there. I have heard about the high cost that people had to spend just to survive. I have heard. And the cost is expensive. Our team even had a whole video on it showing you how we serve the people, which politicians should do. We serve the people by going down there and carrying water because we did what we could do in our capacity. We set an example of how politicians should serve. And that is why I keep telling people, look, you don't just want no politician. You want real heroes. You want people that would love to be an ambassador for the nation. Because when everything is all about politics and politician, that is why everything comes and trickles down to money and power. But we come to change this ideology in politics, you know. That is what we are doing. Because for too long, I have told you, people have alternated between B and D. And I think that this election will send a strong message, you know. It will send a strong message. It has to remind people that it is not just about the party. It is about Barbadians. And I don't even use the slogan now, people first. Because people could come from anywhere. I could be people and still speaking Chinese language. It is about Barbadians. Our language is Bajan. That is our language. That is who we should protect. That is who we should advocate for, the Barbadians. I'm seriously patriotic because I'm telling you, unless you have people that would stand and would really want to be an ambassador for you and a hero for you, then I tell you, you're going to be continuously alternating between just the two that are mixed all up in each other. I tell you, I am not convinced that James Paul made a mistake when he said on the DLP platform to vote Barbados Labour Party. Because I am seriously convinced that they are so the same that they can't even tell the difference. All the time you see the repeat in history where somebody have to stand up on their platform and say vote Barbados Labour Party. Barbados only had an opposition leader because of a crossover. And we will block that crossover. Because that is part of the voter apathy in this country. And when we win seats, let me see where they're going to cross over. And I want Barbados to wake up and recognize that you need it. You have questioned the crossover. I have heard the people. Many of them are questioning and wondering, where did Mayor Motley send he? Because they can't believe how the DLP had dropped. How it becomes such a destruction. How it became so divided. So the question is, who sent him? Well, if you don't want nobody over there that you have to question, you don't have to question the 12 over here. So here, cheer us on, support us. Because you can't keep choosing the same thing and expecting the same result. I know we are giving you a new choice with fresh candidates. And if I hear any of them, I'm waiting. We got one more day before election. And I can tell you that you see tomorrow at the final rally, we're going to do the puppy, we're going to do the dog book day. Because a lot of things got to come out. A lot of things got to come out. They got to realize that by the time they go to the poll, and if they go to type and put an X by the other two, they're going to realize, no, something in the spirit is saying, friends of democracy, friends of democracy, friends of democracy is bringing transformation to this nation. Friends of democracy is going to create history. So in all of those 12 constituencies, I want you to support our candidates. And we come here in St. Philip South, and we want you to support our candidates. And we want you to look at everything that we have done since July of 2025 and see the difference. If Arabaro could have had this country in lower debt, then I'm sure that you can trust us, because we believe in many of the principles of Arabaro. We are not here to just sit by and allow the country to go its way into a way that will cause detriment on the people. We are here to help Barbados to rise. Barbados needs to rise, and its flag will always be lifted up high, because I seriously don't believe that our flag should be nowhere buried in no ground. That is our national pride. That is our national pride. I want Barbadians to take pride in themselves. Stand up tall for what you believe in. Even if you are the coconut man on the street, believe in yourself that you can get further in life. Believe in yourself that you can be empowered. Too many times people like to keep you down. And sadly, if the government doesn't do what it's supposed to do, they will keep you down. You have heard us talking even about the coconut water vendor villages, because we consider all people, and we consider the things that can help advance the people's lives. And that is why we talked about those coconut water villages. And we will talk more, because apart from the high debt, we need to fix up our economy, especially when it comes to crime. I don't know how people could even say that it's not any fault of the government when everybody plays a part. So how can you exclude the government? Just because you don't want to blame them? One of the things that this government should focus on is crime and national security. We do not manufacture guns in this country. So we have to secure our borders. If we don't manufacture them, then we have to secure our borders, because it means that they are getting in some form or fashion, and then we have to get them out. Border security is a serious matter. And even though I said, yes, you can strengthen the laws and strengthen the sentencing, but you also have to get the guns out of the wrong hands. And we can't be sleeping on it, because stray bullets don't care about you. Stray bullets don't care who you name. They don't pick and choose. Just don't care. Because they will stray and they will hit you, and you're the same one that will have to go to the hospital and sit down for hours. And you know how treatment goes. It could be good today or bad tomorrow. We have to protect our lives, and we have to secure our borders. And worse, I talked about fuel last night in St. Philip North, and I will raise it again. Why does Barbados have some of the highest fuel prices We pay the same money as other countries, but then at the retail end, when it hits the consumers, the prices are very high without justification. Because even when the oil prices drop globally, then we still have the highest prices for fuel. And we cannot understand it because they don't justify it. But what happened in this country is that all the time when there's some tax and some tax implemented, they just expect people to just lay down in the bed and decide, I ain't going to fight it. I'm not going to fight it. I'm just going to accept taxes. We need to implement policies, and we need to ensure that investors can be attracted to this country to help this economy. I will reiterate that we need better investment plans. And tonight, I will leave you with that, because I've given you enough to think about. Because I know that you all still have to think about your high light bill. And I pray that Jehovah will help you to pay. Because unless we march and we say no to these high electricity bills, and if you have to go court on them, go court on them, like what Miss Watson had to do. But you don't sit by and allow this government to, in any form or fashion, manipulate or deceive you into thinking that you will vote for them when they are the ones who are inflicting certain problems in your life and won't even solve it for you. So, okay, when they don't solve your problems, we are here. Are we not here? We are here, and we have arrived. And you know when you arrive, what you just do? You just stand up like a boss and do what you gotta do. So me and my candidates, we will stand up like a boss and do what we gotta do. And nobody in this country is gonna tell their friends of democracy to shut up and put up. Because I tell you, we are loud and boisterous. We ready to serve you. We ready to serve this country. What Barbados need is true servants and people who will stand up for democracy. So stand up, Barbados. Stand up proud. We deserve better. Better, 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 better. Have a good night and God bless you.
Thank you all for coming. The next leader of the opposition. Oh, thank everybody for coming out. Those who were in the windows who paid attention, spread the word. We want a different Barbados. We want a Barbados that we can depend on, that will look out for our people. Anyhow, I want to say to you that tomorrow, the grand finale, we're going to start in Kemmerick at about midday, 12 o'clock. So tell everybody, invite everybody, and we're going to wind our way through the constituencies. Logistically, we are going to make sure that we see those persons that we didn't get a chance to meet. And we're going to end up at Deacon's Farm. So make sure that you come out and join the motorcade. All of you who think that somebody might think that you are friends of democracy, let them know that the world is going to be so blocked that you get stuck in it. That's your excuse if you want that, but we want to make sure that you come out and support us tomorrow. Thank you very much. Have a good night. Get home safely. Thanks everybody. Everybody, I appreciate it so much.
Anya Lorde.
I've seen a lot of places.